I'm George Pratt and wanted to discuss watercolor. Watercolor used to be sort of a sketching medium, and thanks to John Singer Sargent, Winslow Homer, Abbott McNeil Whistler, they brought that medium into the forefront as an art form in and of itself. The technique that I use most frequently is sort of an offshoot of Bert Silverman's technique, which allows me to work from dark to light if I choose to, and it makes watercolor a much more forgiving medium. Traditionally, you would work light to dark using the paper as your light source and put veils of color over the light in order to mold your form. Anyway, let me gather a few materials together and I can show you the tools that I use to do the watercolors that I do. So here's sort of an overview of the watercolor tools that I use. First off, there's the watercolors themselves. This is the kit that I carry around, my watercolor palette. You can tell I don't I don't clean it up that much. I actually like that there's all this sort of mess in here because they become nice grays that I might use. These are pan watercolors, but I don't replace the pans. Generally what I'll do, and it's why I have these laid out. This is just a handful of some of the tubes that I might use off and on, but just to give you an idea, like I'll buy these large tubes of the Holbein watercolor, and I really love the Winsor Newton watercolor. And I'll use them to refill the colors here and then let those harden as they dry and they become, you know, new colors. So there's transparent watercolor, there's some more opaque stuff. What I don't have out here, because I don't generally just kind of carry it around with me all the time, is gouache, but I do use gouache also. This may be it. This is gouache here. Various brushes. This is an Escondido. Well, actually it's not, it's a Pro Art. It looks like an Escondido. These are my favorites, which I use for just about everything, from oils to pen and ink to watercolor, is the Raphael Kolinsky Sables with the orange tips. I buy those from Jerry's Artorama online. They last forever. They take a beating and just keep on cranking. These are really cheap brushes, but they're great for large washes. The hairs will fall out. They come out very easily, but they're great wash brushes. I will use Dixie cups and other things to mix in if I wanted to mix up a certain glaze that I might want to lay down, or a wash. And of course a giant tub of water. Before I use my colors, I tend to just load them up with water to get them soft and where they'll actually deliver a nice load of color on my brush. So I just wet them a good bit and let that soak in, and then they'll be ready to go where I want to go as I paint. So I won't do them all, but this will show you, like, now that that's had time, you know, they'll start to lay down nice colors. And this is that Canson paper. It's an enjoyable paper to work on. Then I'll do a lot of like wet on wet, you know, or dry brush, a little of everything. If you lay down, say, a bit of water and get a good load of color on your brush, you can just, where did I put that? There we go. Let that do fun stuff. The beauty of watercolor is that it's runny. Let it do what it does. Try to be a passenger a little bit on this stuff. And that's really the majority of the tools that I use to perform watercolor.